I guess if you're thinking about branded content, probably the only advice I could give you is hire Tina Fey, who writes that show. There seems to be a general theme, I think, in this conference, or at least what I've read and heard so far, of media versus creative. I don't really know who's going to win. As I said before, I think the best idea is going to win. I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have right now, though, because obviously we're moving into a world of unlimited media choices. And that really is going to be different. I don't think the fundamentals of communication will change, but I think that the way we look at the market will change. I think it's important to look at advertising and realize, I mean, I don't know if it exists yet, it probably will. But I think it's important to look at advertising and realize there are really two poles. And I think all advertising is branded advertising, but I think one end of the spectrum is using popular culture to create brand momentum for a brand. I think the other end of the spectrum is pork chops, $2.99 a pound. And I think that this is getting an offer in front of the right people is when you're really talking about the science of marketing. And because of the internet, I don't think that the rules of the science of marketing, which is getting the right message in front of the right people, which is media, has always been a media job. I don't think that those the fundamentals have changed, but I think that the game is getting a lot faster. And I think in the U.S. and I think also everywhere, we're going to learn a lot more about those rules in the next 6 months, primarily because of this. We've got a presidential election going on in the U.S. right now, and amazing things are happening. Forbes projects that political spending in 2008 in the U.S. will be about $4.5 billion, which is up 64% from the last presidential election in 2004. About $3 billion of that will go for ads, and $1.5 billion will go for other stuff. And of that other stuff, about 73 million is going to go online, and about $1 billion is going to go in direct response. And I think we're going to learn a lot of lessons about online in this, and about what we call the science of marketing in this. Right now, on the McCain site, they're buying, according to their campaign managers, hundreds of keywords a day and more than 10,000 total. So I think that that's going to teach us some lessons about the science of marketing, but I don't think it's going to change the essential power of the story. I want to talk about one other thing which I think is relevant to media, and a lesson that I think we've learned, which is to try to use traditional media in untraditional ways. We had a client called Molson Beer, which is a Canadian beer. We did this ad for him. It's the worst ad we've ever done. Maybe it's the worst ad ever done. It's the guy there, and the line says, his address, the intersection of compassion and confidence, his beer is Molson, and he's got puppies. So we ran that in Cosmopolitan magazine. And then in all the men's magazines, we ran this ad, which says hundreds of thousands of women pre-programmed for your convenience. And basically what this ad is about is the pseudoscience of these women are all going to see this ad, they're going to get a good feeling about Molson, so when they see you with a Molson in a bar, they're going to like you. And it was sort of interesting because we tried to connect in magazines in a way people typically don't. And an amazing thing happened. Thousands and thousands of people sent in for reprints of this ad. So we thought, okay, there must be something going on here in this fake advertising thing. So what we did next is we bought the back cover of men's magazines, and on the back cover, we created another magazine. This one was called Trust Fund Magazine, for the man who's about to inherit millions. And that was the back cover, and then on the inside of the back cover, we told people how to use this. It says a whopping $90,000 investment in you, and it says, take this, pretend it's a magazine, leave it on your coffee table if you're bringing a girl over, or take it to the bar with you and leave it on the bar. And what happened with these magazines is they sold out, the newsstand issues sold out in a matter of hours. So this seemed to have some legs, so we did a couple of more. The next one we did was called Aspiring Groom. And the stories in it are bachelor parties, the drunken orgy you just don't need, and another story is why your stuff has to go. Most recent one was this, Animal Rescuers. Wild Mustangs of Assateague Island, will you hear their desperate neighs for help? Another thing that we believe is that continuity is good, but surprise is better. And I know that P.O., our client from Coke, was here this morning, and everyone said, he said such nice things about the agency, you should just stand up and say, thank you, P.O., any questions, which is probably what I should have done. And I know he showed a lot of this work. I want to show you one piece that we did that was online, that was sort of a genesis for the whole TV campaign. I like this because I like this lawyer the best.
Would you agree that these two products taste similar?
Yes.
Very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then do you think that we, as the Coke brand, would have a case against the Coke Zero brand? Because they've infringed upon our taste?
It's a novel theory.
What can we do inside or on this floor within the two brand teams within the company to really bring this to light and shut it down?
One of the things that I would do is consider possibly threatening these folks with a preliminary injunction.
How long would that take?
Well, we could write a threatening letter within a few hours.
Okay, that's very good.
So
I want to do that.
We could do that.
Okay.
Is there anything that has happened recently that makes you this concerned?
My neighbor had a graduation party for his daughter, junior high graduation, and cooler was filled with that.
There is the possibility that consumers will start drinking that, thinking they're drinking that.
That's exactly that's exactly our point of bringing you in today. I'm glad you understand what our case is.
Let me ask you, what would your proposed end game be? What would your
That they were crushed and Ron, their director, was in the fetal position crying under the copier. Crying.
Da, 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 da,
da. We also believe it's hard to research yourself to glory, and I think maybe one of the issues that comes up between media-centric agencies and creative-centric agencies sometimes is creative-centric agencies, I promise I'll never say that again, tend to maybe rely a little bit less on research. I want to show you one spot we did for Burger King that focus groups hated, that performed spectacularly in the marketplace, and you can probably see the reason for both.
I am man, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore, and I'm way too hungry to settle for chick food. 'Cause my stomach's starting to growl, and I'm going on the prowl for a Texas double whopper. Man, that's good. Oh yes, I'm a guy, I'll admit I've been fed quiche. Wave tofu, bye-bye, now it's for Whopper beef I reach. I will eat this meat till my innie turns into an outie. I am starved, I am incorrigible, and I need to scarf a big burger, beef, bacon, jalapeno, good thing down. Yeah! I am hungry, I am incorrigible, I am mad.
The Texas Double Whopper. Eat like a man, man.
And there's not a focus group in the world that could have written that spot. So thanks. I think we're going to talk for a minute after John speaks. Thanks.